Hey everybody, I decided to make this video because Aatrox changed his items and I wanted to go into that for you people. As always, make sure that you're using the best item build because items just make your character stronger. If you use a bad item build, you end up weaker. If you use a stronger item build, you end up stronger. That's just kind of how things go. So due to the recent bruiser item changes, Aatrox has changed his items. Now I've known the best build, obviously you guys have probably seen my stream. I've known the best build for a couple of days now, obviously like a week. I mean, it didn't take that long. It was like 2 days and I knew it, but I didn't want to talk about it because they were doing some buffs to Aatrox that they revealed, and I wanted to see what they were doing, if it would change anything, because I don't like making a video if I'm just going to put out a new video in a little bit. So here's a general Aatrox build. We're not really going to focus on his runes for now. So you got Conqueror, Second Wind, Revitalize, Double Damage, Armor if you need armor. Triumph and Last Stand are extremely important. You can go Alacrity, you can go Tenacity, and always go Ignite. I think Ignite way outperforms Teleport right now. I think there is a... yeah, I think Teleport is basically dead again unless you lose the matchup. So, talking about Aatrox, we're not going to go that deep into Aatrox. We're just going to talk about... oh, these are the Galio cards. I was looking at these earlier. We're just going to talk about why things have changed and why he uses certain items and he doesn't use certain other items and stuff like that. So before we go too far into this, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave a comment. You can, of course, leave me feedback, or you can talk about the video, liking, and just leaving a comment and subscribing. All these things help me, and I appreciate them a lot, and I thank you in advance if you would do that for me. So first off, just talking about skins. I know you guys like talking about the skins a little bit. Before we even get anywhere into this, so always go Door and Shield on Aatrox. Always go Door and Shield. It's just better. The dude has 3 health regen. 3, count it, 3. That is not a lot of health regen, okay? So without Door and Shield, you will very frequently find yourself in a bad situation. I'm just gonna pull this up here real quick. I'm fairly confident that Aatrox's stats show that, well, okay, so Door and Shield has a little bit of a higher win rate, not a definite amount, and it's got a bit of a higher pick rate. I think, personal opinion, it's just the best. Doran's, or sorry, this is a pick rate of 0.5%, so no one gives a shit about that. So if we just look, I don't know why I did this, so we just look at this, yeah, so Doran's Shield, it's just overall better. And to be honest, for newer players, I would just recommend that because you don't know. So let's talk firstly about Aatrox's skin, and I'm just going to share this real quick. So why does everyone at the high rank use Robo Aatrox? It's because the Q1, let me see if I can show it on first try here. The Q1 doesn't, I did it, I'm proud of that one. The Q1 doesn't show its hitbox properly on this skin. I bet all of you thought that wasn't going to hit, and it hit. That's why everyone uses Robo Aatrox. This right here, this is why everyone uses it. That's it. Your opponent, if they don't know your ranges, they will get hit by this all the time. That's just, it's a little bit of a cheat. I don't even think this skin looks good. I don't like the voice. I think the skin doesn't even look that good. But if you want to do your best, if you want to use the strongest skin, this one, because of the stupid hitbox. So let's talk about Aatrox's items. Now, his items haven't really changed that much. You're obviously going to go Gore Drinker first. Don't go Divine Sunderer. There's a billion reasons for why you wouldn't go Divine Sunderer, but I think... so, okay, I'm actually going to talk about this real quick because I think it's actually kind of popular to talk. It's kind of a good thing to bring up here, actually. Why did Divine Sunderer gain so much traction, and then why did it die out so quickly? Because here's the thing. Let's go in the last patch, for example, when it had a 6% pick rate. Here's what was happening. The best players at Aatrox had thought they found this new build, and they were all building Divine Sunderer. Now, as you might imagine, when all the best players all start going Divine Sunderer, they're going to raise its win rate. Now, here's the thing. Your average player in Aatrox probably has a 45% win rate. Your best player in Aatrox probably has a 55% win rate. Those are just made up numbers, but I hope you get the idea, right? So if all the best players who have an average of 55% win rate start going a weaker item, even if they themselves are doing weaker, they're going from 55 to, let's say, 53% win rate, they're still having a much higher win rate on that item. So if all the best players are spamming games on Divine Sunderer, it'll be a very low pick rate with a good win rate. However, as we saw in your last patch, as more and more people, it got to a 6% pick rate, as more and more people started to build Divine Sunderer, and your average players started to weigh down that win rate, we realized that actually Divine Sunderer was not better than Gore Drinker. Now, there are very specific situations it would be better, but overall, over the course of an entire game, on average, Gore Drinker was better. There were specific matchups and situations where Divine Sunderer would do good, but over the course of the game, Gore Drinker would do better. Now, I'm just saying that because it's important for you guys to know that sort of thing, because I see this happen frequently where people will think that a new item is the best item, but it's merely because only the best players are playing it, and it'll look good statistically at a low pick rate, high win rate for a few patches until more people build it, it catches on, and we realize actually it was just because the best players were just slightly handicapping themselves by building it. So let's talk about Aatrox. Obviously, Gore Drinker first item, played Steel Caps, Merc Treads. Ionian Boots of Lucidity kind of fell off for me. There is a realm where it works, but I find, particularly now with the build being squishier, that you really want to go one of these two items. So let's go that. Now, second item, if you're snowballing in your head, you go Serylda's Grudge. Now, why do you go Serylda's Grudge? If I could just bring it right here. Because Serylda's Grudge, if I hit someone, they're slowed. They're slowed by 30% for 1 second. Well, your Q is a recast of, you guessed it, 1 second. So they're slowed, you walk up, you hit them. They're slowed, you walk up, you hit them. You've got the 30% armor pen. Now remember, all of Aatrox's healing is based on post-mitigation damage other than the Gore Drinker active. See that? Other than Gore Drinker active, all his healing, his passive, his E, all of that is based on post-mitigation. So despite the contrary belief that Ravenous Hydra will make you heal more, first off, Omnivamp is shit. Omnivamp gets a 66% penalty on AoE abilities. So actually, if I could just show you guys a brief lesson here. Let's get myself beat up a little bit. I'll buy Ravenous Hydra here. Now, this is me. I haven't leveled my E, so I have 10% Omnivamp. Now watch this. Editor's note, I had 20% Omnivamp because I had the Gore Drinker too. That's how shit Omnivamp is. Do you see my health bar moving? Do you see this insane healing? You don't? Yeah, Ravenous Hydra is not good, Omnivamp is not good. Serylda's Grudge will be better because you'll do more damage, and when you deal more damage, you'll heal more, because all of Aatrox's base kit healing is based on post-mitigation healing. Okay, so Serylda's Grudge, that's a pretty solid second item, but here is the key. If you're not ahead, if you're not snowballing, what are you gonna do? You're going Distance. Not Sterix, Distance. Sterix is out, Distance is in. Why? Particularly with the upcoming buffs, and the buffs are that Aatrox's sweet spot will hit for 60% instead of 50% bonus damage. Not the bonus healing on his ult, not some attack speed, none of that. It's gonna be, it hits for 60% instead of 50%. So Aatrox is being focused more into a damage-oriented role. Now, Distance as of this patch is already good, but we can see that Serylda's or Distance second are pushing him, having even more damage and being able to burst people more. Now, let me level up my character here. We can see on Distance, it currently heals me for 211. Everybody see that? I pop my ult, and now heals me for 282. And that's magnified by the 30%. Aatrox is one of the only champions in the game who Distance did not see a nerf on the amount that it healed, but actually he saw a buff, not a major buff, but a pretty slight buff on the amount that it healed. This means that Aatrox is one of the only champions who Distance will heal, particularly into the late game. It'll heal a decent sizable chunk on him. It's pretty frequent. I think you guys who've watched my streams and things like that, you've seen that I can get a Distance heal plus a Triumph, and into the late game, particularly if I like finish him off with a passive hit, I'll go from like 1/3 health back to full health if I'm not healing debuffed, that is. So it does pretty good, and it scales pretty decently on him because how his kit works. I mean, I'm getting 20% total damage increase, but then it'll be 30% at rank 2, then it'll be 40% at rank 3. So yeah, I mean, if I could, I'm gonna just zoom myself up to level 16 here, so you can see currently it's healing 211. Now if I put those points in my ult, boom, 389. That most champions don't get that, because remember, that 40% damage increase includes my base damage. Aatrox is particularly good base damage. So, as you can imagine, this heals a lot. Is it as much as it used to heal? It's slightly more. If you have Conqueror stacks, it'll be slightly more, because you have to damage people to actually get the heal anymore. You will have Conqueror stacks. So it will be above. So Death Dance second instead of Steric second. That's your ideal. Now for third, this is a bit of a controversial thing. A lot of people seem to disagree with me, but I actually advocate the Sterix gauge third. I think statistically it's doing good. On third buy, it'll typically do 50 or nearly 50 as it used to do. And the shield is still okay, 585. That's pretty decent. Even if I sell my Doran shield, it's still 525. It's a decent shield. People might remark that, oh, but Hashinshin, the distance bleed means that they'll hit you on the Steric shield and then it'll go into the bleed rather than hitting the shield. But the thing is, by the time you proc Steric shield, you're gonna have so much distance bleed. And again, you guys who watch my stream, you've probably seen that. The smaller Steric shield, and combined with having so much distance bleed on you, means that the shield often just gets instantly evaporated. So it's actually not the end of the world. For those of you who remember how Steric's gauge used to work with that decaying shield, a lot of you remember that if you made it too big, if you stacked a lot of health on, let's say, Scion, it didn't matter that it was a 2000 strength shield, because at the end of the day, half of it would have decayed and it would only have been a 1000 strength shield. So, third item though, or sorry, I should say fourth item, you get that Spirit Visage. There's a pretty solid core build right here. I'll just put it like this so you guys can see it. So it's a pretty solid core build. I'll put it in order actually, just so you guys can see it like that. You got oh, you guys couldn't actually see the shield numbers. Yeah, I said I was gonna get better at that, and I did not get better at that. So you got Gore Drinker into Distance into Sterix for Spirit Visage. Now, if you are snowballing, you can do this: Gore Drinker into Cerildas, into Distance, into Sterix, into Spirit Visage. Now, if you're not snowballing, then I probably wouldn't recommend. I mean, you could maybe top off Cerildas last, or maybe you could top in Cerildas somewhere here. I don't know. It is a good item no matter when you buy it. I'm just saying that if you're not snowballing, it's typically better to just build tanky. So why then would Aatrox do good with a squishier build focused more on Death Dance, just mitigating your damage until you get a kill? Well, this is the thing that not a lot of people know, and let me turn off auto refresh cooldowns. So I'm gonna rank up my Q to maximum so you guys can see this, right? Now you can see that my Q with all these items, oh, that's a pretty low cooldown. By the time I'm done, wow, would you look at that? It's already off cooldown. That's huge, right? People look at 6-second cooldown and they go, damn, and you can reduce that how much? This is a crazy build, right? But here's the thing. Well, watch this. Every time you use your Q, and those of you who play Aatrox, you'll already know this, you reset the cooldown. So if I do it like this, you see, oh wow, I can't get to a second Q chain. And particularly in the late game, waiting 3 seconds to get to a second Q chain, let's say I'm fighting Jax or something, and let's put a point in here, and I go like this. You think I'm gonna live through sitting here? No, probably not. So this build is focused on the idea that Aatrox realistically into the late game. Now, if you build tanky, if you're not fighting AD carry, obviously you can get to a second, third, fourth Q chain in the right situations. I agree with you. But the way his Q focused, or works, I should say, is that it's very upfront. You try to get as much as you can out of it, and you try to kill someone so you're not sitting here with them still alive beating you down. In that situation, the distance actually works pretty solidly. And again, let me pop this ult. Now that I have a full build, let me pop this ult. And you can see it's now healing for 629. That's magnified by your ultimate. Under the old system, it would have healed for 450, 15%. Yeah, so 450. With this build, with the old system, it would have healed for 450. If I level myself up to level 18, it would have healed a little bit more than 450. But we can see the Sterix gauge is giving a little bit more because that's based on base damage. My base damage is a little bit higher. So if I was to pop my ult now at level 18, we can see it's healing for 650. Here, I'm gonna stack up Conqueror real quick here. So now we're healing for 729. That's a ka-chunka hunk of damage, and that's magnified by that 60% healing increase in your ult. So it does stack if you can actually kill people with Aatrox in the late game, whether it be by your team giving you the kill, aka you're getting assists, that's pretty good, right? If you're getting the kill, or if your team's getting an assist, and that's what I'm saying, by the way, is you don't need the Serildas. If your team is doing a good job for you, if they're getting the kills and you don't need to be personally doing it, then you can sit with this build. And even this build, without the additional Serildas, this build is still healing 619 each assist you get, each kill you get. If you just have a Fed Cassidon and he's just killing people for you, and you're just sort of tanking with your Thornmail, your Spirit Visage, your Death Stance, Gore Drinker Starks, if you're just doing that, you're gonna stay alive, and if the opposing team keeps focusing you, you're not gonna die. Okay, so this is the build you should go with. Either form is okay. Now, obviously, I've slotted in. You guys have seen my video. I'm not trying to totally undo or remake my Aatrox video, but you know, just to briefly go over it again, you can go with a Force of Nature. That's fine. You can go with an Omen. I've gone with an Omen too. I can't find it. There's Omen. That's fine. You can go with the Guardian Angel, which would be in Bruiser, Fighter, my bad. You can go with the Guardian Angel, which I'm very good at finding items, so I will find it very quickly. All these items are fine. And that's just generally what Aatrox's new item build is going to be. That's why he's building that way. That's why, particularly, again, at the high ranks, you'll see a lot of Aatrox players who go Gore Drinker into Serildas, into Death Stance when they're fed. And that's why that build is working, and that's why they are using that build in that way, just because of how his Q functions and how the items function, that Aatrox can kind of play like a Berserker style now, and particularly with that Q buff coming in, it's sort of pushing the idea of Aatrox absolutely mauling characters and trying to blow up squishies, and using the Death Stance and the Gore Drinker to give him just enough tankiness that he can get in there and massacre a squishy in time, and then, you know, pop that bleed off and blah blah blah. And that's it. That's a build. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. As always, I appreciate all my Patreon supporters. I appreciate everyone for watching, everyone for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. That's very helpful. Thank you, everybody. And as always, if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, the link is in the description. That would be very helpful to me. That would be very beneficial. Those things help keep this video going. But if all you do is watch, that's great. You don't have to do anything. You can watch. I appreciate people who just watch. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. So thank you, everybody.